Can we translate the Mysterium Xarxes? And what are the texts that we can extrapolate from these pages? In this video I will show you how we can translate the 4 pages that we actually know. That are 2 from the original Oblivion game and 2 are from the Gates of Oblivion event from the Elder Scrolls Online. So, without further ado, let's begin. Hello and welcome, I am Lascax and here we talk about tech and gaming. This is an unusual video for me in English language. Usually I do these videos in Italian. I hope that my accent will not be too difficult for you to understand. And I'm here to show you the translation that is mostly done by the Imperial Library staff regarding the original 2 Mysterium Xarxes pages, where I did just 2 little corrections that I will show you. And mostly this video is about these 2 Elder Scrolls Online pages, which are still not translated as far as I know, and that are really hard to translate because the resolution that we have for these pages is very low. So I had to interpret some letters and I had to work with some enhancement tools and even to minimize the text that we already know about the Daedric alphabet, so I could compare with the text that we have in these pages already. This video will be mostly about the direct translation of the text. I will not provide the interpretation and even the origin of some occult meanings that are included in the symbols of these texts. I will just cite them when I'll do the translation, but for the full context, if you want, I will have the full video here, which is in Italian, but maybe you can hear it with the AI provided by YouTube in the English language, or more simply, in an easier way, you can have the subtitles, which usually are much more trustworthy to understand what I'm saying during the explanation of the meanings. I'm doing this video in English because I think that the work I've done on this text is just meaningful enough to have it available to a broader audience. So if you are using this translation for any reason for your videos, maybe for your lore videos about the Elder Scrolls, I just ask you to credit first and foremost the Imperial Library for the original translations and me mostly for the Elder Scrolls Online pages, which required me a bunch of days and some eyesight to just decode what the letters are. Of course, if you appreciate the effort that I put into this translation, please remember to leave a like here and to comment if you have any questions, or just to say if you appreciated the video, or to just insult me if you find my accent unbearable. And let's go directly to analyze these pages, starting from the Oblivion ones and then going into the Elder Scrolls Online ones. I will leave below in the video the article from the website made by Kigai Megami, but I will propose you not only the translation but also my particular correction, which are minor but still, I think, still meaningful. To start translating, we have to change the letters from the pages, from the Daedric alphabet to the alphabet we all know. The only exception from this particular alphabet, because there are some letters that can be different, but these ones are all the letters that we find in the Mysterium Xarxes, is about the letter Yakim. In fact, we'll have this letter, the Y, that will be hidden in the pages or just outright omitted. We will not see the Yakim glyph, but we will see just a space or not a space at all, not even the letter. So we will have to guess that there is a Y while we are translating. This is the first page with the letters changed. We start reading from this. When I walk the earth, again, the faithful among you, there is a Y, shall receive your, another Y, reward to be set. We go up, above all other mortals forever. When I walk the earth again, the faithful among you shall receive your reward to be set above all other mortals forever. Obviously here the above and the whole sentence, part of the sentence being above the rest, is obviously symbolic. Regarding the sentence below, we have to read this in conjunction with the sentence that is in the other page, so we read it at the end. Now we go around the outer circle and then the inner circle. The first outer circle is pretty obvious to read, and it's for Lord Dagon, forever reborn, in blood and fire, from the waters of Oblivion, which is an obvious reference to the League origin of Mehrunes Dagon. And the waters of Oblivion can also be read as the depth, the deep side of Tirius. But the thing I was most concerned when I was translating this page is the inner circle, which proved pretty difficult. Here there is the first correction that I make from the Imperial Library article, because two letters in particular, I will put here the images of those letters, are not correctly translated, which are, this is an A and this is a T. This is a page I prepared exclusively to translate the inner circle, which are a lot of letters that are randomized in the circle, except for some. For example, the outer letters here outside this figure that is in the inner circle, which reads Oblivion pretty clearly. So the word Oblivion is one that we need. The other thing is about the central O. We have a Y, which is in the originally blank space, as you can see, and we have here another blank space. For my translation, I worked like this. I saw this O, so I was using this O, and I use it at the beginning of my translation. I use Oblivion at the end of my translation, and this space, I think it's the O which is outside the page, which is the lone O in red that is not associated with any other sentences that are on the page. So I think that this O is basically this one. Then at first I put my eyes on the bigger letters which are around here, which are bold, fire, incomplete without the E, but that was a red herring, because I tried to find another sentence like proposed in the Imperial Library which read bold fire, but I couldn't find one. So finally, after scrambling a lot of words, I come to this. Off the ways, find the blood for Oblivion, which kinda makes sense because it's about being off the ways, so going outside what is common, which is the objective of the Mythic Order or the Mythic Dawn, and find blood for Oblivion, which relates to the violence that Mehrunes Dagon proposes to the Mythic Dawn members and to the other cult that we see in Elder Scrolls Online. Also, I see a parallel for the sacrifice where we are going to almost participate when we find for the first time the Mysterium Xarxes, where there is an Argonian that is going to be killed by ourselves if we choose so, just to fake that we are part of the Mythic Dawn. So I think that this off the ways, find blood for Oblivion fits the theme. Now about the second page, we'll start from the sentence above, which is come slow and bring 4 keys. These are the 4 elements, the 4 pieces, which are also represented here by citing them as arms, as we'll see. the four arms of Mehrunes Dagon, but also the four pieces that are needed by Martin VII to open the gate to paradise. And these four keys are described as such. In my first arm, a storm, there is a Y, here another Y. My second, the rushed plagued rain. The third, all the tinder of Anu. I want to emphasize there is an A which is a little bigger than the rest because it represents Anu, which is the highest concept of order in the Elder Scrolls universe. Then we have the fourth, the very eyes of Padumi. Here we have another two Y which are not represented, but also another P, another letter which is a little bigger than the rest because it's Padumi, which is the counterside of Anu, which is the representation of chaos. Now, another similar thing we'll find here in the letters that are scrambled around the triangle. For example, we have here some sparse letters which read Destroyer, but there is obviously another Y which is not represented, so it's Destroyer. And then we have here Master, and here again Master. But the difference between these two Master is again a letter which is a little bigger than the rest, which is not here. Probably because it's about the M representing Mehrunes Dagon, Mythic Dawn, and also we see Mundus that is at the center of the page. Regarding Mundus, here we have the word Mother, which is another word that is commonly used to refer to Mundus again. So another M a little bigger than the rest. Here Miasma, the word is, and the word to. So the proposed translation from the Imperial Library is pretty similar to what I'm proposing. I just do a little correction. In the Imperial Library, it's proposed Master Akin Master, Mother is Miasma to Destroyer. I think that the correct order, which is also a grammatically correct order, is a quote from the first commentary of the Mythic Dawn, where there are these precise words, and specifically Master Akin to Master, which is also grammatically correct, and then Mother is Miasma, or if you want, or if you prefer, Mother is Miasma to Destroyer, by using to another time. So the concept is all about Mother Mundus being repulsive for Mehrunes Dagon, and Master Akin to Master because whomever will follow the Mythic Dawn order will eventually ascend to a god, which is the promise of paradise, which is the literal symbol that we have here. In fact, internally on this triangle, we have another Y, which is not present in the original text, which reads Mythic Dawn. And here there is another symbolic representation with Mother on the left side and Destroyer on the right side, because if we see the symbol that was done by Martin VII to go into paradise, to summon the gate to paradise, we have here the position on the left where there is the Great Working Stone, which is the representation of Magica, which is also then the representation of Mother, Mundus. And then on this side there is the Great Sigil Stone, which is a representation of Oblivion, and obviously the representation of the Destroyer, of Mehrunes Dagon. So this triangle is a symbol of change, and this triangle is obviously the symbol of passage to another world, passage to paradise, and a gate to paradise will be built upon this symbol. Finally, there is the sentence that reads below the pages. As for the rest, the weak shall be winnowed, the timid shall be cast down, the mighty shall tremble at my feet and pray for pardon. Again with other Ys which are not represented in the original text, but also another important symbol because they are below and not above. Again, remarking those who will ascend, those who will transform, those that will go through blood and violence of the ways to encounter Oblivion, to go into the Order of the Mythic Dawn, to go into the realm of Mehrunes Dagon, to obviously be above the rest. Here we go to the Elder Scrolls Online pages, which are part of the Gates of Oblivion event storyline from the Blackwood expansion, which was very hard to translate, basically because the resolution for these pages, these ones are extracted from the in-game object of the Mysterium Xarxes. In particular, they were made available by another member of the Imperial Library, Benefactor, which I give my thanks to, and that are unfortunately very low resolution. And this is a major issue in even recognizing what's written in Daedric, and you can imagine what it means starting from this to make full sentences. This took days by my part. I even had to confront from still screenshots for the trailer of the Gates of Oblivion event, but then finally, after my stubbornness rewarded me, I was able to come to the full translation, which I think is also the first complete translation of these Elder Scrolls Online pages. Benefactor again was able to translate part of these texts, in particular the second page, but these ones were very hard for me to work with, but I finally think I made sense out of them. Just a little note of how I proceeded to this. I confronted these letters with the letters that are here, but I also made these letters minuscule, so I had some few pixels to make some kind of confrontation between these letters from the alphabet to these ones, but it was not every letter just a one-on-one. For example, the A here was very different throughout this. The only letter which was really recognizable was the E because of its conformation, but for example, recognizing the difference between a V of VAC and a K of Occult was pretty hard. Also, obviously, what helped a lot was the first text, which is here, which has a little larger font, as you can see, compared to this one here. So I was able to see some resemblance between the two. And then finally I got my pages translated after days of works and scrambling lots of letters. And here we are. This is much simpler than the Oblivion pages. Also in the reading there are not any strange letters which you have to get from the sides of the pages. We'll see that basically the first page will cover the story about the ritual that you have to do on the 4 ambitions, which means to sacrifice the 4 mortals, which are the 4 parts of the neonymic of Mehrunes Dagon, to forge the one will, which is to evoke Mehrunes Dagon in Mundus. While here there is basically the consequence of that, which is the description of how you will destroy the actual mortal order, the one imposed by the divines, and make Mehrunes Dagon the one that will rule afterward. So we'll start from here. First, I will go about the central symbol that we have here. These are the 4 ambitions, which have to be sacrificed, and in fact we have the test. Sublime Bloods Fed, which means the sacrifice. The effect is the external letters, disaster. Then we have various words that are here, the realms, the emotions, which are the domain of Mehrunes Dagon. Ambition, destruction, change, culling, power, freedom, knowledge. Finally, we have the text which describe the ritual. Forge the 4, compose the fated quadrant. Zealot sense, this is about the reader. All keys are marked. These 4 are the keys. These 4 are the immortals that are marked by Mehrunes Dagon, which have part of his mimic. Here then we have truth drips from savage smudges. Inscribe a time with retort on toughness alone. Basically the law of the stronger, which is imposed by Mehrunes Dagon and which is professed as the final truth. So that we have to find the truth in violence, which is also a theme that is remarked in the sermons of Vivek, to find the truth in violence. But here, obviously, for Mehrunes Dagon is more literal than what Vivek intended. Then we have, from what stone build 4 houses. The stone is the pact that was made by the 4 house emperors, which allowed the forging of the 4 ambitions. Obviously, the 4 houses are these ones, or if you want, you can see some parallelism to the House of Troubles, which is also a quadrant if you want. Then we have, from 4 houses, build 1 wheel. Obviously, sacrifice the 4 houses to get Mehrunes Dagon. Then here we have another similar symbol from the page 2 of Oblivion, which is another change. Also we have a line that goes from the left to the right here, and we see another parallelism because here we will go about Mundus, the mother, and here we will go about the Oblivion, the new future. So it's overcome mother in A, sacred moss meat, basically Mundus. So overcome Mundus, forge fits the future in violence, which is the way of Mehrunes Dagon, and that is reinforced by the letters that we have here, which reads strength, which I already said is the law of the stronger one. And here finally we have a text which basically explains itself. Dawn's fierce light shall shine on faithful and faithless alike. Let the mortal order burn in the flames of Dagon's glorious despair. 4 are the hands, 4 are the wheels. Mine is the way of the transcendent cataclysm. Freedom drawn, screaming from a fiery womb. The womb could be seen as the Oblivion Gates, or maybe even the League Center from which Mehrunes Dagon originated, which we can read from the commentaries of the Mythic Dawn. Also, I want to remark part of my analysis, which you can find in my other video in Italian, which are based on the inspiration, the possible inspiration for the whole Mehrunes Dagon evocation, which is the writings of Alesteir Crowley, in particular the Book of the Law, which describe what is the philosophy of Thelema, which is also about the will imposed to create basically the world, to have your will being one with the will of the world itself. Obviously, Thelema does not aim to total destruction, but what's curious is the symbol. In fact, if we go back to the page 1 of the Oblivion pages, here we will see this hexagram, which is the unicursal hexagram, and here we have instead the a unicursal octagram. Unicursal means that you can write the whole figure without needing to get your pencil away from the paper. And in particular, this symbol, the unicursal hexagram, is the symbol of Thelema, which is also one of the greatest inspiration by Michael Kirkbride, who wrote the original Mysterium Xarxes and the original commentaries of the Mythic Dawn. And I think it's then the inspiration of what was done in Elder Scrolls Online. Also, another thing is here the symbol that we have together with the hexagram, which is a symbol reminiscing the one described in the sermons of Vivek, the 17th, which resembles the amulet of kings. But again, for my complete analysis about these pages, refer to the other video in Italian, where you will find surely pretty accurate subs, that maybe you will find also the IE voice in English. And this is it. Thank you for watching. I hope that you find my translation clear enough. I've also asked the Imperial Library to publish my work in a Google Doc whenever I'm ready to give a Google Doc to them. My corrections about the Oblivion pages already translated by Kikai Megami will be added as an addendum in the original page. I will link the page below, and if they'll ever accept my Google Doc about the Elder Scrolls Online pages, I will also add the link below. And I have to thank Benefactor for providing the first draft of the translation for the Elder Scrolls Online pages. Last reminder to like the video if you found it useful, and to credit me if you ever use this text to do your own content, and most of all to credit the Imperial Library. And I'd also appreciate every comment if you want to ask something about my translation, or even further if you want to add to this translation, maybe correct me if you think that I did something wrong, and most of all to share your interpretation of these texts. And with that said, I just want you to wish to have a nice day and see you on the next update. Bye!